And good morning, everybody. Welcome into this Wednesday morning edition of Hey Scotty Mac Live. Glad you are with us. Hope you had a great Tuesday after most people, I think, had Monday off across the Panhandle. Perhaps you were watching or listening to us somewhere else other than the Florida Panhandle. I had to work on Monday. Hey, you've made it to Wednesday, the hump day, and we're glad you are here. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be previewing the weekend games coming up, and we're excited about that. Some huge matchups coming up this weekend, including that Clemson at Louisville game, and then, of course, the Florida-Tennessee game and others. We'll get into all of those this morning, start running those things down, give you your latest college football news and notes. But we're glad you're with us, and if you're just joining us this morning and you're watching live on Facebook, good morning to you. If you're listening to us on our audio-only podcast, and you can find our audio-only podcast by going to www.collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. And when you go to that website, that takes you right to our podcast page, and you should be able to get hooked up there with the show. So we're pretty pumped about that. And if you're just watching live on Facebook or a recorded version on Facebook later in the day, go ahead and hit the like button and the share button if you don't mind. If you would, just reach down there and hit the like button and the share button. I would greatly appreciate that. I got to tell you real quick, I want to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do the show without our sponsors, our good friends at Bayou Bill's Crab House, located at Santa Rosa Beach and Inlet Beach. They've got 2 locations. Best crab you're going to find, whether it's those Alaskan crab, the king crab, the snow crab, the local Choctaw Bay blue crab. They are amazing. The fish, the fresh fish dishes there, the catfish, the grouper, the flounder, everything is so good there at Bayou Bill's. And, of course, if you love ribs like I love ribs, their barbecue ribs are fall off the bone. Their gumbo's award-winning. More and more people who live in the Panhandle have been messaging us saying, hey, I haven't been over to Bayou Bill's in a while, and I just went because I heard you guys talking about it, and it was amazing. So that's great. So go check them out. Bayou Bill's, Highway 98 in Santa Rosa Beach, and then, of course, in Inlet Beach over there in front of the Winn-Dixie in Bay County. Also, our friends at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville, we appreciate them so very much. Our friends at Second Amendment are located in Niceville, right there across John Sims Parkway from the Sears and from the Pep Boys, I should say. That's where you'll find them over there. Huge selection of firearms for you. Also, as we've been telling you about, nowadays you have to go through a lot of different things to get your weapon purchased is the biggest thing. But they do it all in-house. They have an in-house attorney. They handle thousands of Form 1s and Form 4s, so they're experienced in knowing what it takes to get your paperwork done correctly and quickly. That is huge for them. And they were telling me that the ATF has just introduced a new barcode system for all their forms, and the folks at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport are anticipating that will drop the wait times significantly. So you can get it all done in-house by the experts. Check them out. People are coming from all over to check out our friends at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport, located on John Sims Parkway in Niceville. And make sure you tell them you heard about it right here on the podcast. Also, our friends at my-pak.com. We always like to show this visual of one of their great backpacks. And, of course, it's just, it's an amazing backpack with all the pockets and the bells and whistles. But the really cool thing is the window right here, where you can print out whatever you want to print out and stick it down inside the window. 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, prints out right there, fits in there. Your child can have a different looking backpack every day. We're about a month into school now, and a lot of kids are saying, I want a new backpack. I'm tired of my backpack. Well, get them one of these. They're still available. Then when you get home, if they want a cartoon character, you print it out, you slide it in there. Next week, they want a different cartoon character, you print it out, you slide it in there. Maybe they want a Florida State, Alabama, Auburn logo or LSU logo. You print it out, put it in there. Maybe they want a picture of their favorite college or professional football player or their favorite NFL team logo. You put that in there. Maybe if you've got younger children, you want to print out a piece of paper with their name, their homeroom teacher's name, their bus number, so that if they lay their backpack down somewhere, it's easy to find out who it belongs to. These things are amazing, and people love them. And you can also purchase these backpacks to help out the kids in Texas and South Florida affected by the hurricanes. go online to their website at my-pak.com. That's my-pak.com. And then also our friends at 98 Barbecue. I may have to have lunch there today myself. If not today, maybe tomorrow. But I love 98 Barbecue, the only place I have found in the Panhandle that serves Memphis-style barbecue. I'm talking about real Memphis-style barbecue. The pulled pork, the brisket, the ribs, the rib tips. They also do Nacho Thursdays where they serve these barbecue nachos that are to die for. They have steak night on Friday and Saturday that is fantastic. Their French fries there, oh my gosh, I'm a French fry nut. It's one of my weaknesses. But when you order your French fries at 98 Barbecue, they take the potato, the whole potato, throw it in the chopper, and throw it into the grease. And that's how fresh it is. It is crazy good. So go say hello to our friends at 98 Barbecue. Of course, they bring you our game of the week. And we're doing something different this week, so let's talk a little college football. Good morning, everybody out there. Normally, we have one game of the week for our 98 Barbecue gift card. Y'all see that? This week, we're going to have two. We're going to have two games of the week. Our first game of the week, obviously, is the Clemson at Louisville game, and our second game of the week is Tennessee at Florida. So there's two chances for you to win a $20 gift card from 98 Barbecue, and it's real simple. All you have to do is send me your score for both games. You can either type it in here on our broadcast, or if you'd like to text it to me, you can text it on our text line, which is right over here at 850-460-0326. 850-460-0326. Text me your score prediction plus your name and location to me, and that's for the Louisville-Clemson game and for the Florida-Tennessee game. Two chances to win that gift card from 98 Barbecue, and there's no rule that says you couldn't win both of them. We're going to give away two of them this week, but go see our friends at 98 Barbecue right there in Santa Rosa Beach. Well, we made it to Wednesday. It's been kind of an odd weekend after the storm came through, and at least for us here in the Panhandle, and reading some Facebook posts from some of our friends in the Birmingham, Atlanta, Memphis, Tupelo areas, even Nashville. I think everybody had gotten a little bit of rain and school closures and even some damage. I think Atlanta had a little damage, wind damage, power outages. So hopefully everybody's getting back to normal. I know our friends in South Florida and especially the Keys and the Caribbean, it's going to take some time, but our thoughts and prayers are with you guys as we get ready for football. Know that we're thinking about you guys, certainly as you try to recover from that storm. We got so much to get to this morning when it comes to football. And, there's several big games, and we're going to go over all of the games, but I want to go over some morning headlines, if you will. Ole Miss wrapped up their meetings with the NCAA Committee on Infractions group yesterday up in Covington, Kentucky. They're at the Embassy Suites Hotel Ballroom just outside of Cincinnati. The hearings were set to go for 3 days. At least 3 days have been budgeted, but they were able to get through that in 2 days. And so now Ole Miss will begin the waiting process. Typically anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, could go longer, could be a little bit shorter. It's just a waiting game now. Also, the NCAA could come back and want clarifications on things, so that could delay it a little bit more. So if you're Ole Miss right now, you've had your chance in your day in court. Ross Bjork, the athletic director at Ole Miss, Jeff Vitter, the president at Ole Miss, both saying that they could not wait to have their day to tell their side of the story. Well, they've had that the last 2 days, and we'll see how that plays out. Of course, for the first time in NCAA history, a student athlete was called to testify in the hearings, and that's Mississippi State linebacker Leo Lewis. And you know his story, a young man who was recruited by just about everybody in the country, claims that he was offered was actually given $10,000 by Ole Miss. Also said that he was given money by many other schools. He was given immunity, limited immunity by the NCAA for testifying in this hearing. But then since then, a lot of things have come out, and which has kind of put a negative light on other schools, including Mississippi State and others. So we'll see how that played out. Now, keep in mind, we won't know at least immediately what was said and done in these hearings. From what I understand now, and I could be wrong about this, and I'm double checking this, and I double checked it yesterday, but I'm going to probably, triple check it today. But as long as the committee is making a decision, we won't get any of the transcripts from the hearings that took place the last 2 days. But now once the NCAA makes its, I guess, announcement of whatever penalties are against Ole Miss and whatever appeals are exhausted, because Ole Miss has the right to appeal, once it's all done, then the transcripts from these hearings will be available through the Public Information Act, from what I've been told. So we'll see. But if you're an Ole Miss fan, you know, the day in front of the NCAA is over. The focus now begins on, which it should have been, on the season. Ole Miss with a big game at Cal this week out in Berkeley, California. And so we'll kind of see what happens with this. But I suspect we probably sometime late October, early to mid-November, will hear results from the NCAA on what penalties will come forth for Ole Miss. Now, keep in mind, Ole Miss has already self-imposed bowl bans and scholarship reductions for this year. And what they're trying to do is avoid the NCAA penalties going multiple years. I think that's where the big thing is at this point. So that's the latest on that situation. Also, a couple other quick things to tell you about. The Indiana game that was scheduled with Florida International, we told you yesterday, had been canceled. Obviously, Florida International, they got problems on campus. No way they can get ready for a football game. But Indiana, to make up for that game lost, there's no way to reschedule it. They have scheduled Charleston Southern to come to Bloomington October the 7th. Also, as we told you yesterday, the Miami-Florida State game, the big game scheduled for this weekend in Tallahassee, that game has also been postponed until October the 7th there, so that they can get everything done they need to get done. Down, obviously, Miami, no position down there to practice or get themselves together. Now, the word is, according to Governor Rick Scott and others down in that part of the South Florida, is that most places they hope to have power back by this weekend. And Florida State is out of school all this week. Miami is obviously out of school, among others. And so there we go. I think it's just going to be a lost week. Coaches are going to try to regather their players on campus toward this weekend and begin prep for the next week. So we'll see. The folks in Vegas have come out with their updated list of Heisman Trophy candidates. Right on top, number 1, Baker Mayfield, the Oklahoma quarterback. Very impressive in the big game last week at Ohio State. Continues to be very impressive. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions this year. He's thrown for 715 yards, Baker Mayfield. Lamar Jackson up there at the top as well. Last year's Heisman Trophy winner. Looked like a man on a mission against North Carolina last week. Became the second quarterback in history to throw for 300 yards and run for 100 more in consecutive games. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. For the folks who said last year was a flash in the pan for Lamar Jackson, obviously that's not the case whatsoever. Lamar Jackson is definitely, I think, the best player in college football. Josh Rosen is at number 3 on the odds for winning the Heisman Trophy, the UCLA quarterback. Off to a great start this year, completing almost 70% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, 820 yards. Here's an interesting one that has come up to the top at number 4 on the list. Saquon Barkley, the outstanding running back for Penn State. This guy's been very impressive. He's run for 260 yards this year, 3 touchdowns. He's caught 7 balls for right at 100 yards. Looked very good. Number 5 on the Heisman Trophy list as far as the odds makers are concerned right now, Sam Darnold, who is the outstanding quarterback for the Trojans of Southern Cal. 605 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, but he's also thrown for 4 interceptions. So I think he's got some work to do. Southern Cal has a huge game coming up against Texas this week, which is kind of funny because there's been some things in the national news this week how Texas does not recognize that loss to Southern Cal a few years back in the national championship game because of the NCAA issues. So anyway, we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. So those are some of your morning sports headlines as far as college football is concerned. We're getting ready for a big week of games. When we come back, we're going to go over your college football schedule in the early lines, so get ready for that. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 30 seconds or so you guys hang with us. Glad you are with us this morning. A good-looking day out there. We're coming right back on Hey, Scotty Mac Live. And welcome back, everybody. Glad you're with us here on this Wednesday morning. So excited about a big weekend of college football. Thank you for watching us on Facebook Live this morning or listening to us on our audio-only podcast. We got a brand new link to our website. We're trying to get our other domain name moved over to HeyScottyMac.com, and it's a slow process. Part of the problem is the company that we got it from is down in Deerfield Beach, Florida, and obviously they're closed right now because of the storm, and we wish them the best, so no hard feelings. We certainly understand. But we went ahead and set up a new domain name. So if you click on our new domain name, which is collegegamenotes.com, that's www.collegegamenotes.com. That'll take you over to our podcast page, and you can listen to any of our shows there that we've got set aside in the archives, plus our college football recruiting show that we do on Fridays, and then also our Saturday morning college game day show, our 98 barbecue college game day show. So go check it out, collegegamenotes.com. Also coming up either later tonight or tomorrow morning, don't forget that this week's edition of our college football newsletter, The Extra Point, will be coming out. The Extra Point is an email college football newsletter that we send out every week, usually Thursday morning or sometime Wednesday night, just chock full of stuff, including this weekend's TV listings, also all the Vegas lines, our game-by-game score picks, college football news and notes and tidbits. This thing we've been doing now for 18 years. The subscriber base just continues to grow and grow and grow. If you haven't subscribed to our college football game notes, it's called The Extra Point. Go ahead and email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com. Or you can just send me a message here on our Facebook broadcast, and I will get you the information about subscribing to our college football email newsletter. People love this thing. A lot of people will print it out, put it by their remote control on Saturday so they know where to tune in and see all the games. It's almost like a college football version of TV Guide in some sense. So if you remember the old TV guides, some of you are maybe not old enough to remember that. But check that out. We'd love for you to subscribe to it. Just send me a message, heyscottymac@gmail.com. Or, again, you can either send me a message right here on our broadcast. So we would appreciate that, and you could subscribe to it and never miss a thing. So, all right, let's look at what we've got coming up this weekend, a big weekend of college football getting started on Thursday. We're going to run down our matchups this week, starting with Thursday night. We've got one game on tap Thursday night, and that is New Mexico at Boise State. Boise State opening up as a 14.5-point favorite. On Friday, Illinois will play South Florida. And I talked about yesterday, I was trying to find, there was some talk that game might be canceled or moved. But now everything I've seen, that game is still on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go over to the South Florida website since we got everybody here. And let's just do a double quadruple check, if you will, to make sure that all is well. And I'm showing that game is good to go. That game coming up on Friday night down at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, and South Florida opening up as an 18-point favorite over the Fighting Illini. Also on Friday night, UMass will be at Temple up in Philly. They'll play at Lincoln Financial Field. Temple a 14.5-point favorite. Also Arizona at UTEP Friday night at the Sun Bowl Stadium in El Paso. Arizona a 24-point favorite in that one. So let's talk about some of the big games on Saturday. First of all, we'll talk about and remind you the games that will not be taking place Saturday. Miami and Florida State, the game scheduled in Tallahassee, has been moved to October the 7th. I mentioned that Florida International at Indiana game. That game has been completely canceled. They'll try to reschedule it in the future, sometime in the future years, for Florida International to go up to Indiana. But Indiana has now added Charleston Southern, a 1AA team, an FCS team, on October the 7th to make up for that. Georgia Tech was scheduled to play at Central Florida this week. That game has been canceled. No word on a makeup. It doesn't look like it will get made up this year at all. Now, let's talk about involving the top 25 on Saturday. Air Force is at Michigan. That will be an interesting game. Michigan is a 24-point favorite in that one. Air Force is a little bit better than people may realize, so that could be a good ball game. At Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Oklahoma State will roll in. You know, Oklahoma State went over to Mobile, Alabama last week and beat up on South Alabama. This week they go to Pittsburgh, home of the Steelers there. They play the Pitt Panthers. Oklahoma State opening as a 13.5-point favorite. Number 25, UCLA will head over to Memphis to play in Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium against the Memphis Tigers. UCLA opens up as a 3-point favorite in that one. And I'm going to pull these up here just by the I'm trying to pull up just the top 25 here. I want to get those first, and then we'll go beyond the top 25 as we roll out the rest of the next few days. But I want to get those here as I did a refresh. Here we go. That Memphis-UCLA game, by the way, will kick off at 11 a.m. Central Time. 2:30 on Saturday afternoon. Number 10, Wisconsin, will travel out to Provo, Utah to take on BYU. That could be a really interesting game. BYU is off to a bad start at 1-2, but obviously they've had some good competition playing against LSU in the Superdome. Wisconsin's 2-0, but they've been a little shaky 2-0, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Number 16, Virginia Tech, is at East Carolina, 2:30 Saturday afternoon in Greenville, North Carolina. We'll see what's going on, but East Carolina's bad. East Carolina's really bad. Virginia Tech, a 21.5-point favorite. Number 20, TCU, coming off that very impressive win at Arkansas, will host SMU in Fort Worth this Saturday at 2:30. TCU, an 18-point favorite. I mentioned that Tennessee-Florida game. Number 23, Tennessee. Number 24, Florida. The Gators are a 4.5-point favorite at home at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, the Swamp, coming up on Saturday afternoon. Number 15, Auburn, back in action after that tough loss at Clemson. They will host Mercer at Auburn at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Ohio State will host Army. That will be at 3:30 Central Time in Columbus, Ohio, there at the Horseshoe. And keep in mind, Army is 2-0, and Army has spent the entire offseason, which I think is a great note here. They spent the entire offseason installing the Navy offense. You know, Navy's beaten Army, I don't know, how many years in a row is it? I mean, a bunch. And so the Army coach said, you know, if you can't beat them, figure out how they're beating us, and let's see what we can do. So Army spent the entire spring, summer, early season installing the new Navy offense. And so that game, Ohio State's a 30-point favorite, but that game could be closer than that. We're going to take a good look at that in the next few days. Number 21, Washington State, is at home against Oregon State. 4:30 Central on Saturday afternoon. Washington State, the Cougs, a 21-point favorite. Number 2, Oklahoma, looked so good last week. They will host Tulane, the Green Wave, 5 o'clock Central out in Norman Saturday. At 6 o'clock Central Time, Alabama hosting Colorado State. Tell you what now, Colorado State with Mike McIntyre is a very good football team. Colorado State is a team that won't beat Alabama, but you know what? They will play Alabama very hard. They've got some talent there. Mike McIntyre is a guy, he's been at Ole Miss, he's been at Duke, Tennessee. He's a guy who is the name you hear now. When people talk about up-and-coming young head coaches, they talk about Mike McIntyre at Colorado State. At 6 o'clock Saturday night, LSU, number 12 in the nation, will travel to Mississippi State. LSU will get Arden Key back this week. Their outstanding defensive end probably could have played last week. They decided to hold him out so he would be super fresh and pumped for this game. LSU opens up as a 7-point favorite in Starkville. At number 5, Penn State will host Georgia State at 6:30 Saturday night up at University Park, Beaver Stadium. Penn State opening up as a 38-point favorite. The Georgia Bulldogs will host the Samford Bulldogs out of Birmingham, Alabama on Saturday at 6:30 there in Athens. Georgia 2-0. Samford is 2-0. They are a 1AA team, an FCS team, and not a bad 1AA team at all, but Georgia should be dominating in that one. This is a game to keep an eye on here. Number 18, Kansas State, travels to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's off to a 2-0 start. Now, they've only played Middle Tennessee State and Alabama A&M, but they've got a good football team up there. Derek Mason has done a really good job of rebuilding this Vanderbilt program. They will play hard. I love Ralph Webb. I love their quarterback who's starting to come into his own. Kansas State will have their hands full, and they're a 4-point favorite at Vandy. Number 3, Clemson at number 14, Louisville. The big game of the week. This is where ESPN Game Day will be Saturday morning there at Papa John Cardinal Stadium in Louisville. And Clemson opens up as a 3-point road favorite. Hard to believe that that Louisville is actually getting points at home. But now, then you have to look at it and say that they're getting points at home because they're playing the defending national champion, who's been pretty impressive so far. That's going to be a great game Saturday night. Boy, in a rematch of that 2003 national championship game, Texas is at Southern Cal. Southern Cal, number 4 in the country. They're 2-0. Texas 1-1. That game at 7:30 on Fox in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. At 8:30 Central Saturday night, number 6 Washington hosting Fresno State. Of course, Fresno coming off the loss at Alabama. Washington 2-0, a 33.5-point favorite. And then at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night, number 19 Stanford, coming off the loss to Southern Cal, is at San Diego State. They're in Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. And Stanford, a 9-point favorite at San Diego State. So there's your top 25 matchups for this weekend. There's a lot of other big games coming up this weekend. We'll talk about some of those. Also talk about some of the things happening right now. We've been talking a lot about the Ole Miss situation with the NCAA, and obviously now that is over. Ole Miss just waiting on the NCAA to make its announcement on what the penalties and punishment will be moving forward. That all wrapped up yesterday. We'll also talk about, I want to come back and talk about the situation at Arkansas. If you missed it yesterday, and I guess even the day before, some fans there in Arkansas got an online petition to not only get Brett Bielema fired, but to bring in Mike Leach, the head coach out there at Washington State, who's known for his high-flying offense. And that has gained a little traction to the point where some of the national media picked up on it. Then Arkansas Athletic Director Jeff Long made a very interesting comment we're going to discuss. And we'll talk about the future of the coaches in the SEC, including Brett Bielema, in a little segment I want to do when we come back. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back in about 30 to 45 seconds. We'll keep on talking college football. If you're just joining us here this morning on our Facebook broadcast, please help us by hitting the like button and the share button. That would mean so much to us. Hit the like button and the share button. We would definitely ask you to do that for us to help us grow our audience. The like button is wonderful, but that share button is even more important. So please, and let everybody know what we've got going on here. It means so much to us when you help us spread the word. You know, I've always told people from the day we started this, we're pursuing this over a long-term deal. If I have one person who watches, you know what? We're going to have fun with that one person. But the truth is, over the course of the day, we're reaching thousands of people. I had somebody, I guess a couple weeks ago, say, "Oh, you're not reaching thousands of people." I said, "Okay, well, here, let me screenshot this from Facebook and show it to you." Because at the end of every 24-hour cycle, we get a little update that shows us how many people we reached. And I sent that and said, "Look, if you don't believe me, here, call Facebook." And, of course, haters are going to hate. I understand that. But then we started the new podcast, the audio-only podcast. And don't forget, about 30 minutes after each show each morning, we post the audio-only version of the podcast there at collegegamenotes.com. That's our site we've set up for this right now, collegegamenotes.com. You go there. You can download the audio-only version of the podcast. You can get it through the iTunes Store, the Apple Store as well. We've got all that set up. It's really cool. So check that out. But we're getting a ton of people who are downloading the podcast every day, which is awesome, and we appreciate that so very much. All right, we'll take our little break. We're going to come back. We still got a lot to talk about, including the stability of coaching in college football, especially at Arkansas and other places, and we'll do that when we come back right here on Hey, Scotty Mac Live. And welcome back, everybody. Glad you're with us here. Happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for being a part of our show this morning. Hey, Scotty Mac Live. You know, we're growing and growing. We appreciate everybody's support. Couldn't do it without our great sponsors. We do have some wonderful sponsors. Our friends at my-pak.com. That's where you get these backpacks we've been telling you about and showing you about. You guys go check it out at my-pak.com. These things are so amazing. Again, with that open window where you can print out whatever you want and put it in there for your child. They can have a different looking backpack every day. They can change it every day. So check them out at my-pak.com. Also, our friends at 98 Barbecue, Santa Rosa Beach. Great place for barbecue, burgers, chicken salad sandwiches, homemade pimento cheese sandwiches, unbelievably fresh sides, homemade potato salad every day, fresh coleslaw every day. Their salads, their barbecue salad is ridiculous at 98 Barbecue. Also, want to thank our friends at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville. We've been telling you about all the great things they've got going on there. And did you know that silencers are legal in Florida for recreational shooting and hunting? And Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville is your number one source for all things NFA on the Florida Panhandle. They have the largest selection of silencers, including Dead Air, Silencer Co., Rugged, and they can order any silencer you may want or need or find out there. And they have the largest selection of short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, and AOWs as well. So check them out at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville. Also, want to thank our friends at Bayou Bill's Crab House. You know, we've been telling you about Bayou Bill's Crab House. It is outstanding. The food there is amazing. And don't forget, they have sports bars. You know, when you go to the Bayou Bills at Inlet Beach down in Bay County, right there in front of the Winn-Dixie, or you go to the one in Santa Rosa Beach on Highway 98, they have the incredible restaurant, but they have these incredible sports bars. And I will tell you that, you know, maybe going to, you know, the loud, crazy sports bar is not your thing. You know, going to some of the sports bars. I mean, there's a different sports bar for everybody. But when you go to Bayou Bills, you can go and relax. You know, you'll hear some people cheering and whatever. But it's not going to be rambunctious. You're not going to have all the drunks. You're not going to have all the just people getting on your nerves. It's going to be a really cool place to go. So check out Bayou Bills, the restaurant, and their sports bar. You know, the sports bar, you can get the drinks, the drink specials, and all the food. Oh my gosh, their crab dip, their hot crab dip at Bayou Bills. Oh my gosh, it is so good. So y'all go by and check those out as well. All right, you know, I wanted to go back and talk about this Brett Bielema thing at Arkansas just a minute. And before I do that, I've had several people asking me, when does the Extra Point newsletter or email newsletter come out? Usually on Thursday morning. Sometimes it comes out on Wednesday. If we get it done in time, we're going to be working on it today. So it may come out tonight, but more than likely tomorrow morning. Just be looking for it. If you're interested in subscribing to it, I've got a lot of people asking me that. Again, just email me at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to get you the information about subscribing. If you're a college football fan, you definitely going to want this thing. This Arkansas situation, you know, Jeff Long, the Arkansas AD, made a statement yesterday about this whole Brett Bielema petition to have him replaced by Mike Leach at Washington State. And Jeff Long came out and his quote was, "Here at Arkansas, we are not a win at all costs institution." And what he's trying to say by that is, you know, yes, football is important, but, you know, we're not going to sacrifice what we believe in and our standards and all of those things just to try to win football games. And I agree with him. I completely agree with him. Brett Bielema has done a really good job at Arkansas. When he was first hired, I wondered if his offense, if any of you followed me on the radio back then, I wondered if his offense would be good enough to compete in the SEC. He was coming out of Wisconsin, that Big Ten mentality, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Would that be good enough to win in the SEC? And he's won games. They've been a consistent 7 to 8 win team every year. But now Arkansas fans are wanting more. They want to be a 10-win team every year at Arkansas. And, you know, my first reaction was, I don't know if you can do that. But the more I think about it, I think you can, and I think Alabama has proven that you can. Now, what does Alabama have that Arkansas doesn't. Let's take it a step further. What does Alabama have that any other school doesn't? Well, I know Nick Saban, but Alabama has tradition. They have the history of winning national championships. But they did go through a period of time where they didn't win any national championships, if you recall. They didn't win any Mike Shula, Dennis Franchione. There's a pretty good Mike Dubose. Mike Price obviously didn't even get a chance to coach in a game there, but Alabama went through a very down time, and they were able to rebuild it. People forget Nick Saban lost to Louisiana Monroe his first year, and has since then obviously got it going. As a matter of fact, I think that's the last non-conference game Alabama has lost at home, and that's been 10 years ago. But could Arkansas do that? Well, Arkansas certainly has tradition, maybe not as deep and storied tradition as Alabama has, but Arkansas has tradition. They won a lot of Southwest Conference championships back in the old days. They were a big college football program over there, with some great coaches that come through there. They have a legacy of winning, which may not be like Alabama has, but think about recruiting. Now, if you've been to Tuscaloosa is a fun-looking place, a nice-looking place, a good place. If you've been to Fayetteville, Arkansas, it is absolutely beautiful up there in the Ozark Mountains. Both campuses have great facilities. Arkansas is adding even more to their football stadium. I think Arkansas and Alabama are almost on pace with each other for facility-wise. Arkansas is able to reach in Texas, their next-door neighbor, get kids. They're able to reach in Louisiana, get kids. They're able to do a lot of the things that everybody else can do. Arkansas has certain advantages. But that brings me to the point. Why is Arkansas struggling? Why did they get beat at home against TCU? Well, it's players. The talent level at Arkansas, and I'm just calling it like I see it, has really fallen off. It is not what it used to be at all. I don't think Arkansas has the same talent it had 3 years ago, and that goes to recruiting. I don't know, and I like Brett Bielema, but I don't know that he and his staff have done a great job recruiting. They've done an okay job. You recruit okay players, you're going to have an okay team with an okay record. You recruit great players, give them great coaching, you're going to have a great team with a great record. Alabama, what LSU has done, what Ohio State has done. You put all those pieces together. But I am a firm believer now. You can recruit 3 stars and coach them up and all that, but you got to try to recruit the best players you can get, and I don't think the recruiting has been on par. I don't have a problem with Brett Bielema as a coach. I think Brett Bielema, where he may fall off from the others, is I don't think he's a great recruiter. I think he's a good recruiter, but I don't think he's a great recruiter, and because of that, Arkansas is suffering. Now, is he on the hot seat at Arkansas? I don't think so. I think if they have a 7 or 8 win year this year, next year he could be on the bubble. I really do. As a matter of fact, in this week's Extra Point, we'll have our listing of coaches on the hot seat, and I still think in the SEC, Kevin Sumlin, obviously at Texas A&M, is on the hottest of hot seats. I think Butch Jones is on a huge hot seat. I think a big game for Tennessee and Butch Jones is coming up this week. If Florida is able to beat Tennessee this week, Butch Jones' seat gets much hotter. I think Gus Malzahn's seat is starting to warm up at Auburn. A lot of that because their offense looked so anemic against Clemson last week and just is not doing much of anything. Then I think if you look around the SEC, as far as coaches on the hot seat, certainly Brett Bielema is going to come flying in there. But, Jim McElwain, if he loses to Tennessee this week and that offense struggles, the Gator offense struggles against the Vols, he definitely gets on the hot seat this week. Will Muschamp, man, they love him at South Carolina. They're off to a great start, 2-0. They love Coach Stoops at Kentucky, Derek Mason at Vanderbilt, no danger there. Dan Mullen, no danger at Mississippi State. Matt Luke is in an interim situation at Ole Miss, so we'll see how that plays out. Kirby Smart is solid. Obviously, Nick Saban, solid, not going anywhere. So I think you look around the SEC, and you've got about 4 or 5 coaches that are on the hot seats, with Kevin Sumlin being on the hottest of the hot seats. But I think the loser of the Florida-Tennessee game, that coach will definitely find himself on a seat that will be getting scorching hot. So But I wanted just your thoughts on that. And again, we are very listener and viewer driven. So if you have a comment on anything we talk about, feel free to comment, type it in here. Feel free to text us on our text line at 850-460-0326, 850-460-0326, and I will be more than happy to visit with you about your thoughts. I'd love to entertain your thoughts. As a matter of fact, one of the things we haven't done this morning, if you would be so kind, if you're watching live or even watching later, or if you're listening to our audio-only podcast, send us a message. Let us know where you are watching or listening from this morning. Just type it in on Facebook there, your city and state, or if you're listening on our audio-only podcast at collegegamenotes.com, just text us a message at 850-460-0326. That's 850-460-0326. I would absolutely love to hear where you are watching and listening from this morning. And anytime during the day would be fantastic, and we appreciate that so very much. So a couple of quick things. I did want to mention this. I was talking about the Arkansas situation. One thing I will tell you, since 2008, here's the record of Arkansas coaches. Bobby Petrino was 34-14 overall and had a 17-15 record in the SEC. John L. Smith was 4-8 that 1 year as an interim coach, 2-6 in the SEC. Brett Bielema, 26-27 overall and only 10-22 in the SEC. That is not good. That is not good at all, and that is the type of record that will find you looking for another job indeed. So, all right, we're going to take our final break, come back, a couple other quick thoughts as we get started pointing down toward the weekend with a lot of college football still to come. We are so excited, man. College football is what we do and what we do better than anybody else. Again, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're listening to us on audio only at collegegamenotes.com, text us, let us know you're out there. We greatly appreciate that. Texts are already coming in this morning, which is awesome. So we'll take our final break of the morning. We're going to come right back, wrap it up. Glad to have you with us on a Wednesday on Hey Scotty Mac Live. All right, everybody, glad you're with us here on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for taking time to check us out here on our Facebook Live broadcast, or perhaps you're listening on our audio-only podcast at www.collegegamenotes.com. Check that out as well. Even if you haven't been over to the site, if you're watching on Facebook, go check out www.collegegamenotes.com. And you can type in your email address there to follow us whenever we go with a broadcast or post a new podcast. You will get an alert, and we would greatly appreciate that so very much. So that is awesome. Glad you guys are checking us out this morning. Don't forget that either late tonight or tomorrow morning, our college football email newsletter, The Extra Point, will be coming out. So if you haven't subscribed to that, go ahead and hit me up with an email at heyscottymac@gmail.com. That's heyscottymac@gmail.com, and I'll make sure to get you that information about subscribing. Also, don't forget that on Friday we'll have our weekly college football recruiting show, and on Saturday morning we'll have our college football game day show brought to you by our friends at 98 Barbecue. And you can find out more about our shows by liking our Facebook page at Hey Scotty Mac that you're on right there. If you're on Facebook now, just like the page. Not only do we want you to like and share our broadcast this morning, but like the page itself. And then also, you'll get an alert when you follow us on Twitter. If you are on Twitter, check us out at Hey Scotty Mac. That's at Hey Scotty Mac. We would greatly appreciate that. And you will get an alert anytime we post a new video or audio show, or we're about to do something live. So we got some other stuff we're working on too. Our buddy Chef Holbrook from Signature Catering of 30A was involved in an automobile accident, as you recall, about a month ago. We were telling you about it. We are very happy to report he is doing much better. As a matter of fact, got a big meeting coming up with him. We're going to be shooting some tailgating cooking shows with Chef Holbrook this week, as a matter of fact, so you definitely want to be up for that. He's going to be doing some different things, so we're excited about that. So want to thank our great sponsors, Second Amendment Shooting and Sport in Niceville, right across the John Sims Parkway from the Sears and the Pep Boys. We love those guys. Go by and say hello to Aaron and the gang at Second Amendment Shooting and Sport. Also, our good friends at Bayou Bill's Crab House. 2 locations, one in Inlet Beach down in front of the Winn-Dixie down there in Bay County, and then the other in Santa Rosa Beach right on Highway 98. Go check them out at Bayou Bill's Crab House. Also, our friends at 98 Barbecue, we appreciate them so very much. They sponsor our Saturday morning show and our Game of the Week. Don't forget now, we've got 2 Game of the Weeks this week. No matter if you're watching in the Panhandle of Florida or if you're watching anywhere else in the South or the country, make sure that you send in either by Facebook or by text your prediction for both the Florida-Tennessee game and the Clemson-Louisville game. Whoever gets closest is going to get a $20 gift card to 98 Barbecue. If you're outside the Panhandle, you're in the Southeast or anywhere in the country, go ahead and send it in, because if you win, we're going to send you that gift card, and you can use it when you come to the beach. It has no expiration date, which is really cool. So we got the 2 games, and again, post it right here or send me a text at 850-460-0326. That's 850 area code 460-0326. Send me your pick for the Florida-Tennessee game. Send me your pick for the Clemson-Louisville game, and we're going to be giving away 2 98 Barbecue gift cards this week. Those things are so fantastic. You're going to love it, man. What are you talking about? Also, we want to remind you about, I just said the newsletter will be coming out tomorrow morning, maybe tonight if I get that done in time. Don't forget, we're here every weekday morning talking college football at 7 a.m. Central for about an hour or so. We got a lot of super things happening, some exciting things happening. We're going to be able to, in the next week or so, start taking guests. So we're going to have some guest interviews on here. We're pretty excited about that. The company who's been doing a lot of our website stuff is based in South Florida, so they are dealing with some stuff down there, and our thoughts and prayers go out to our good friends at SecureNet Systems in Deerfield Beach, and hopefully they can get everything going for those guys. But hey, we love you guys. Tell everybody about what we're doing. Post it on your Facebook page. Like this broadcast. More importantly, share this broadcast if you would. Let people know that we're talking college football here every weekday morning. We talk recruiting and more. We do it all. This is the new way to find your college football sports news and information, and it is growing by leaps and bounds, and we're so excited. We got a lot of people asking about sponsorship information, and we appreciate that. We do have room for sponsors. All you have to do is just send me a message at heyscottymac@gmail.com, and we would greatly appreciate that as well. So hope you guys have a super, super Wednesday today. If we get breaking news, as we tell you, anytime there's college football breaking news, we come back on with a live broadcast later in the day. So that's why you want to follow the page and follow us on Twitter so that when we do those pop up. But don't forget, here in about 20 to 30 minutes, you can go to our audio-only podcast page and download the audio version of the show. It's www.collegegamenotes.com. That's www.collegegamenotes.com. So we love you guys. Have a super Wednesday today. Have a safe Wednesday. We're getting excited. College football is just a few days away. And we'll be back with you tomorrow morning right here on Hey, Scotty Mac Live.